Hello, dreamers, doers, believers, and achievers. I'm Dwayne Shig, and this is the EncouragMINT Show, the place to talk about your passions, products, and possibilities. And I am extremely excited about tonight's show, about this show. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be encouraging to you. And we are going to have a fabulous show. And those of you who watch all the time, I know you say that all the time. Yeah, I do say it all the time because I mean it all the time. And so we're going to have a powerful, powerful show. And I thank you for being with us for this show and all those different things that we'll be doing on tonight. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about authorship, business, and all of those things with my guest, Miss Sheena Gadine, and she's from New York. She is a motivational speaker, and she is the author of The Mask Behind the Mask. And welcome, Miss Sheena, to the EncouragMINT Show.
Hi, thank you.
No problem. I greatly appreciate you taking out the time to be with us tonight. And I just want to let the viewers know that we're going to have a great conversation. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them there and we'll answer them. But if you're watching on YouTube, we can't see the questions there. So if you want to ask questions, you have to be on the Facebook page, Your EncouragMINT, MINT. And so we thank you. And if this show is encouraging to you, just share it and let somebody know. Also, tonight we are looking forward to being with as many people as possible. Our show goes from anywhere from Fontana to France, from Gardena to Ghana, and so we will touch base with everybody. And so, Miss Sheena, again, thank you so much. The Mask Behind the Mask, very interesting title. Quickly, tell us what the book is about.
Well, the book is a book of poetry and spoken words that I put together for people to love all the imperfections despite of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Poetry.
Yes.
And you said dealing with their imperfections. Tell us about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, a lot of us, we carry a lot of different imperfections as far as like maybe low self-esteem, insecurities, baggage from other relationships, just a lot of flaws or things that we don't like about ourselves that we tend to put a mask on to make people think that we like them. And then, we deal with a lot of things. Like the title is kind of interesting, right? It's like the topic being like, hey, we want to talk about it. I titled it that because, when you go through a lot of things, when people wear a lot of faces, you learn a lot of things after they take the faces off.
And I was going to ask you that, where did the title come from? And so, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is an interesting title, The Mask Behind the Mask. So elaborate on that just a little bit more, because that's a very provocative title. It'll make you pick the book up.
It does. And that's kind of where it came from. One, I needed an attention getter. I needed to get your attention before you got into my book. And the title came from me dealing with one. I deal with 3 different health conditions, and looking at me, you would think that I'm perfectly healthy. Well, I have fibromyalgia, which is chronic nerve pain. I have ankylosing spondylitis, which is arthritis in my spine that goes to the rest of my joints like rheumatoid arthritis. And then I have a kidney disease, which is called polycystic kidney disease. And with those, with a blink of an eye, all of my individual chronic illnesses, you would never know unless I tell you. So that's a mask right there, all in itself. The other reason I titled it that is that I went through domestic violence twice, not once, but twice, with 2 different relationships. So I learned that people hide a lot of things behind these faces without you even knowing until it pops up.
Wow. So the poetry is to help how does the poetry what is the focus of the poetry as it relates to the different masks?
Well, it focuses on empowering you, inspiring you, and teaching you how to overcome a lot of things and how to be able to, just because you got dealt a certain amount of cards in a certain situation doesn't mean that has to be the end of your life. You can get empowered and be motivated through everything that you go through and then find a transformation to a totally different situation and a different person after you go through your trauma or your life situations or, just being life in general throws you a lot of spins. So you got to just be ready for it and know how to deal with it.
Ah, I like that. Like the word you said, transformation. So your poetry is focused to some degree on transforming, taking people to a different place.
Yes. It teaches
Ah,
you how to self-love. It teaches you how to overcome. It teaches you how to be empowered. It teaches you how to love on yourself first.
mm. What would you say to someone that, well, let me ask you this first.
Okay.
With the different things that you just mentioned, the health
Mhm.
issues and the other things that you mentioned, what kept you going? How did you keep going?
Well, it's crazy because like when I first found out about the health conditions, I was like really not feeling it because when you healthy as a horse, didn't have no issues growing up, and then now all of a sudden you have all these conditions, and you
Right.
got to my first thoughts was what's going to happen to my kids if something happens to me. That was my thought all through the whole situation. But seeing my kids is what brought me through a lot of things. In between that and doing my poetry, I needed to find a way to find a lane to be great for my kids because they watch everything I do.
Ah, okay. Now, was it difficult in telling your story, in terms of, I don't know if you tell some of your story in the poetry or obviously in the interviews, but was it difficult in telling those intimate things about yourself?
Well, you know what? I had to learn to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So I had to
Ah,
be able
whoa,
to
whoa,
tell
whoa,
my
whoa, whoa,
story.
whoa, 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 whoa. Say that again.
I had to learn to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. Because in order
Wow.
for you to succeed, you got to get uncomfortable. Because when you're too comfortable, you're never going to move. You're going to stay stuck. So I learned to get uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Wow. I like that. Uncomfortable. You have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yeah.
That is powerful. That is powerful. So the uncomfortability of telling the story of your different situations,
Mm-hmm.
that took you into being comfortable with telling the story.
Yes, it is.
Ah, I like that. I like that. I like that. And so initially, why did you start writing, either writing this book or writing poetry, period? Why did you start doing that?
Well, I've been writing since I've been 12. So
Okay.
I've been writing since high school. And it's crazy because, middle school. And I went back to what was comfortable for me. And like going through my process of my domestic violence and the fact is that I'm having all these diseases going on. And you deal with depression, you deal with anxiety, you deal with a lot of things going through your mind because you're dealing with a lot. You feel like the world is sitting on top of your shoulders.
Right.
So it was my comfortable place to be able to put my thoughts down and help me inspire myself and help me motivate myself and figure out, okay, I got to get out of this situation. And I also need to inspire myself through the situation because if I keep sitting in it and wallowing in it and accepting what it is, I'm never going to get out of it and I might just die in this situation. So I had to figure out what was best for me and better for my kids. And I needed to inspire myself some way. So I had to take my power back. And my poetry gave me power.
Your poetry gives you power.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Unpack that a little bit for me. Expand on that a little bit for me.
All right. Like, matter of fact, let me read something for you and I'll tell you where the power comes from because you'll see it in
Okay.
itself. So the
Okay.
very first poem, when I was trying to get through my process, I called it Warrior of Many Strengths. And it says, I'm a warrior beyond measures. Life is an uphill battle. It can be a very triumphant battle of storms. We need to stand to fight through our progress. Different shortcomings in life can cause you to want to give up or make you want to turn to other avenues. Stand tall and don't allow the devil to interrupt the process of glory. With God, grace, and mercy, I will continue to pursue the pain, the sickness, the mental struggles, the emotional feelings, the battle with chronic illness. God has me until the end of time. And many of us need the support and wants the support to transfer as we undergo a better healing. As I take my strength and my triumphant battle of health, I will stand and I will walk with faith, strength, and through Jesus. And I am a warrior of many strengths. So
Wow.
with that poem, I explained what I was dealing with and what I needed to get through what I was dealing with. And I needed to be a warrior to get through it, to be strengthened through my process.
Strengthen through your process. That's another good word. because sometimes people don't want to deal with the process. They just want it to.
They want to go around it. You can't go around it. You got to go through it.
Exactly. I like that. You can't go around it. You got to go through it. So you have to deal with those issues. What kind of responses have you gotten with the from the book, from family or friends, or people that know you?
From family or friends, everybody loves the book. They're waiting on book 2 right now. They're like, when is it coming out? You're gonna make the second book longer. Where is it coming? And then even on Amazon, because it's on Amazon as well. Even on Amazon, I have a 4.8 stars on it. I have 11 reviews, and they're all saying this empowering. They all saying that it's awesome. There's like it's motivating. Some people's like, I don't even like poetry, but this book just gravitates you there. It's the energy that's in it. It gives you the raw of what I've been through, but empower you through the process. Some people said they cried when they read it, but it made them feel good after it. So I put, and it's basically from my heart. I put words and information of me just in poetry form.
Okay. So you write poetry. Do you write any other, forms? You write, fiction or self-help or anything else?
I do self-help. I do a little of fiction depending on when I'm in the mood. But a lot of times I write poetry.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what your strength is. Okay, that's what your strength is. Sometimes people, let me ask you a question. How much time passed between, the inspiration, okay, I'm going to write this book, between that time and the time you actually started, writing it?
Well, the poetry I started writing in 2016. In 2016. Okay. I didn't publish the book till 2018, and it came out in 2019. But what it was a process, because first I had to think, do I want people to read my thoughts? Do I want people to understand what I went through? Am I ready for that question and answers on how you got there, what you've been through? Why didn't you say anything? Because nobody really knew what I was going through when I went through this domestic violence. I kind of went through it in silence. And I was going to I still went to work, and it wasn't like abuse was to where I had black eyes. It was more verbal and emotional than physical. I did have physical encounters, but it wasn't until I was beat up into the hospital. It was more detrimental to my emotional, my verbal, but I had to learn to not let that verbal intake into me. I had to let it bounce off of me, because if I internalized it, then it would then define me, and that's not what I was ready to be defined as, because I know that would be.
Okay. And so you said the question was, okay, am I ready to let people know about this? What was it that caused you to move from, okay, I'm not ready, to I am ready? What was it that caused you to say, okay, I'm going to put this down, let people know?
I would say my 30th birthday in 2018, I said, you know what, this is it. I'm not going to be quiet anymore. I'm not going to be in silence. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I went to therapy first and went and healed myself. As I went through therapy and as I healed myself and I went through all the things I had to deal with within me and found my boundaries and found my peace and found my aha moment, it's like, look, it's time, I want to do something to show my kids that, I went through something, and I didn't stay there because I went through it, and I chose a different lane. So I decided to become an author. And honestly, when I put it together, it was more for, okay, I'm putting it together and my kids will see that mommy wrote a book. That was more or less what it was. And, but God had another plan. It was a whole nother vision for this situation. Because when the book came out, I did this play a day before my book came out. And the play was called Secrets. And I told everybody about my domestic violence. I've told a whole room of 80 people of what went on. And right after that, as I told my story, between I was on the front of Detroit newspaper out here. Then somebody at the news station seen it and they saw my story. And then from there, within a month, I was on Channel 9 News.
Okay.
Then from there, I went from Channel 9 News to Channel 13 News. And then I've just been pretty much telling my story because everybody's like, oh my God, it's so impactful. And then I get all these mails and like, oh my God. And it's like, okay, so I was the one that needed to talk for everybody else to get everybody else comfortable to talk about it.
Getting comfortable. You said that again, getting comfortable. So you got the domestic violence, you've got the health issues, you've got those things, and you're writing about that. So who is this book for?
It is honestly, and it's not even about domestic violence. It's about to impact people to be able to uncover all the things that we keep behind those walls and just be comfortable with who you are. It's not particularly just okay, but for a woman or for a man. I have both versions of people reading the book, and I have both versions of people like, yo, you really open up some doors that I didn't think about.
Okay. Okay.
And
So
that was my point. I want people
okay.
to be able to stand in the mirror and say, I love myself, and understand that you love every inch of you, because it all starts with you, somebody loving you. And a lot of that comes from, you got to define who you are first. Because if you don't understand who you are, what you're about, and the message you're really carrying in, and the persona that you show to others, you'll always be putting on a face. And I learned this by just the different relationships or the different people I've come in contact with doing all this process. There are faces that people put on, and then there are faces that people deliver in front of you later on.
So your mask covering the different things that you talk about may not be mine or someone else.
Exactly.
But the information in there, I tell people principles aren't prejudice. You can use principles for whatever. And so the mask that you were covering may be different from someone else, but still empower them to take off their mask. That is very good. That is very good. So that way, okay, so now that's how the book would be applicable to different people.
Yes. Like, I'm going to read you the synopsis off the back of my book. It says, this book is to motivate you to look inside your mask. Know that it's okay to cry. Know that it's okay to be sad. Know it's okay to be mad. And love who you are through it all. We wear masks to cover the flaws or the imperfections we have. But there is always a mask that we still hide behind. There is always another face that we hide behind that others don't see. Just know that it's okay to love all of you, including the imperfections that we try to hide from. This is to inspire you to embrace the real you and to be strong through all the things that you deal with. That's my purpose. That's what it is.
I love that. I love that. Seems like a very practical book. And one of my mentors, Dr. Manuel Scott Sr., would call it having portability. You can take it to different places. Let me ask you something that maybe help someone. Why do you think many people that have a story, they have a book, they have a vision, and maybe starting a business, go back to school, or whatever the case may be, sometimes they're hesitant, between the time of inspiration to the time of activation? And so why do you think that is, if you agree that people do that? Why do you think that is?
Well, from my opinion, I could say sometimes we have to make sure it's what we want to do and it's the purpose that we ain't really truly inspiring. Like with my distance between it, I had to make sure this was really what I wanted to do. Because if you go out and you really put that up, is that really what you want to do if you're not inspired by it?
Okay. So you think sometimes people just they're double checking and making sure.
Some people double check, and sometimes it's fear. Some people fear to step into the unknown.
Okay. And so what would you tell somebody who, they're waiting, they've got the idea, they've got the book, they've got the business, they've got the dream, but they still got the what ifs. So they're in that stage, checking, fear, whatever. From your experience, what would you tell somebody like that? Because we've got people watching who are writers. They've got the book in their head, but it hasn't been put in their hand, or the business, or whatever the case may be. So help some of our viewers, and what would you say to them?
I would definitely tell them, don't stay stuck into the what ifs and the fears. Those are the barriers that keep you from defining your success. Just do it. Just go out for it and get uncomfortable. Get ready for what you're ready for. you don't have to question it if you know it's you, because your story is your story and nobody else can tell it. You the only one can tell it best.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Your story is your story, and nobody else can tell it. I like that. What did this book do for you? I know. Well, I'm going to ask you later on in terms of other people, but what did the book do for you?
I
Writing and
would
getting out.
say it defined me. It transferred me into a totally different person. Because like at first, you know, like my energy is totally different with this. It's like I said, when I first wrote it, it was more for my kids, but now it's more just to heal people. In my story, I use my scars as my healing process for other people to heal them. And while I'm healing them, I'm healing myself.
Okay, so it's to help other people, but at the same time, it's still benefiting you.
Yes.
Oh, that is powerful. That is powerful. I love the focus of where you're going in terms of helping other people, but also rather revelatory, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk. Oftentimes, people that launch out into a book, authors or business, sometimes they just focus on the creative side. I know, when I wrote some of the first books, and sometimes people do this in business, they get inspired, they have a da-da-da moment, but then they don't realize the business part of it.
Mm.
What was the biggest or best business lesson you've learned as being an author?
Well, I definitely learned, because Lord, you have to market yourself. In order for you to honestly get yourself out there, I learned how to market myself, marketing and branding. That was like one of my key things I've learned going through
Mm,
this process. I learned how to market. I learned how to brand myself. Because a lot of times people they see your book, you can say you're an author, but what is your book really about? What's your brand about? So I created a brand for myself, and it actually goes, the Sheena Unmasked Motivation is part of my brand. I created that, and that's where I do my motivational speaking. I do my seminars, my workshops, my one-on-ones, my mentoring. I'm actually going through now the process of getting my life coaching certificate. So I do life coaching through that as well. And I learned to market and brand myself. Like, I've learned how to book myself, plan my events. I've learned how to actually put my book on Amazon myself. Like, when I first published my book, I actually went through a company to help me put my book on the different platforms.
right.
And that actually, as you learn, that will take more money out of your pocket, even though it's not like I'm getting rich from being an author. But the money that you do have, you'll go through different cycles if you use different people. Once you learn all the skills yourself, it becomes a little bit more easier for you to know where your profits and everything are going from. You gotta learn your audience as well. You gotta learn who your audience is. You gotta
Mm,
learn who you talking to and who are you directing your conversation to. You gotta figure out where your most popular places of people watching your stuff from, who's buying it and where is it coming from. You learn a lot of business behind it, definitely.
you said who your market is. What do you mean? My book is so good. It's good for everybody, right?
Yeah, but you know what? You have to learn on honestly who's really watching. Like, my biggest people that actually buying and learning, after I looked at the statistics, mine are like 35 to 60, I think it is,
Mm,
somewhere in there. It's like you have different ranges and you see the levels on who's watching more, who's watching your videos, who's checking into your page. Because I created an author page and I have my regular page. And you can't have, like, when you have to create a business page in order to create the business line and everything, because you can't have your personal and your regular all together either. You got to learn how to separate everything as well.
right, right. In case you just joined us, this is the Encouragement Show, and we're talking to Miss Sheena Godine. She is an author, motivational speaker. And if you've been listening, if you're watching on the EncouragMINT page and you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section, and we will ask her about those. Marketing is so important, and sometimes people don't consider it. They don't really deal with that. So, and then sometimes people think, well, I don't have enough money. I don't have money to learn all this marketing. How did you learn your marketing?
A lot. Some of it is learning it from other people, because you get some authors and some other people that you can actually have a conversation with. I've done a lot of meetings, and even just people being side by side with different people and learning different things, going in different groups, learning different stuff. Just doing it myself, actually, because I'm my own PR, my own manager, I'm my own event planner. I do everything myself. I don't have an assistant. I don't have a team. It's just Sheena and
Right.
the Lord. So
Okay.
you learn a lot doing it yourself, because then it's like, all right, you got to figure out who and what you're trying to talk to and who you're going to email, and you got to figure out your audience, because then you got to figure out where you want to go next to show your book and put your
Mm.
book out there, and what platforms you want to put them on, and what message are you giving. So you got to make sure you're talking to the right people. So just learning it as I go, and
Okay.
just
Yeah, I definitely understand.
talking to people, going, you even can go to a marketing class to learn some stuff too. Like, you find people that do market branding for a living. So you have these conversations, you have these consultant conversations, and sit down with people. It's like, you, as an author, if you don't have a team, you learn how to go have meetings with people. You got to eat. It's like this. Either they're going to take the meeting or you're not. But a lot of times you got to actually go ask before you can say you don't know anything or nobody's going to tell you nothing. Because the only thing they can tell you is no if they don't want to give you information. And then sometimes you can Google some of it too.
Hey, definitely. You can learn just about anything from Google.
Google, YouTube, all the above. You'll find somebody
Exactly.
telling you something.
And it's interesting. We're talking about books, but the principles that you're talking about can be applied to other things also. Would you agree? I mean, because some people's dream may not be author, but it being an author, but it's something else. But those principles will still apply.
Yeah, with anybody on what you're doing, you gotta learn how to market yourself, point blank, period, regardless of what you're selling, whatever product you're doing, whatever business you're doing, you gotta learn marketing. Marketing would be the biggest thing, because if you don't market it right, you ain't gonna sell nothing.
Right, right, right. And speaking of that, before we go to break, with all the the COVID situation, and I know you guys in New York, your situation has gotten a little bit better. I'm in California because your governor he don't seem to be playing with people. He just serious,
Oh, you mean our Governor
Yeah,
Cuomo?
your Governor Cuomo.
And he ain't playing, Governor Cuomo.
He ain't playing at all, And so, you guys seem to be doing better. But how has the COVID, the lockdown, how has that affected your marketing, and what have you done about it?
Well, at first it was like a standstill, because I was actually out doing events before COVID. Like, I was actually out doing speaking engagements. I used to travel a lot, so that turns everything to a halt. So I had to learn, like, all right, how am I going to rearrange this to be able to sell my book now when I'm not right in front of people? So that's when I actually turned around and made my website, which is, you can go there and purchase different things off of there. I also started creating videos, and I did Zooms, and I learned how, I learned to do seminars online and do workshops online. I reached out and started doing a lot of virtual things.
So the effects of COVID from a health perspective obviously have been bad, but listening from what you're saying, it has pushed you to do some things that maybe you wouldn't have done before.
It just pushed me to do things that I already had on the list. It just helped me to push it to do it earlier. I was already going to do a website. It just got me to do my website earlier. That's all.
Okay. So using this, so help somebody understand that, yes, we're going through different things. We're going through lockdowns or whatever other issues, but help somebody understand that we have to move past those things, because it is what it is. And so we got to do something. If you want to sell the book, if you want to sell the t-shirts, if you want to watch this shameless plug, if you want to sell the mask, you got to do something. So help somebody understand that, lockdown doesn't mean you stay down.
Well, from my point of view, I really can, because like at first I felt stuck. And I'm sure a lot of people feel stuck on like, what am I going to do? But you have to learn how to reposition yourself. You have to figure out what position can you play now that you are in a different situation. And that goes back to, like I said, with the mask, you got to learn how to maneuver with whatever falls in your lap. I had to learn how to maneuver with health conditions. So now we learn how to maneuver with COVID.
Ooh. Let's let that simmer for a while, marinate for a while. I love that. I love that. We're talking to Miss Sheena Gadine. She's the author of The Mask Behind the Mask here on the Encouragement Show. We're going to take a break right quick and just talk about a couple of things. We are grateful for our sponsors, for those who have been sponsors of the show. We are grateful for that, and we want to encourage you. If you have a book, a business that you want to talk about, you want to come on the Encouragement Show and talk about your book, your business, your dream, your goal, you can do that. Contact us at drshig@gmail.com. That's drshig@gmail.com. And you can get the information how you can come on, talk about your book, talk about your business. And also our show tonight is brought to you in part by my latest book. It's called Encouragements from a Formerly Frustrated Dreamer, which is what I was. The book is divided into 3 parts, have some short, quick reads, and some of the chapters. There's a chapter called Make Your Move. There's a chapter called Dream, Decide, and Then Do, and one called Just Because They Don't See It Doesn't Mean You Can't Be It. And then the third section is full of encouragement quotes, some original encouragement quotes, like the one on page 85. It says, "Let confidence compete when doubt tries to defeat, and you will complete your phenomenal feat." So you can get your copy at Amazon.com. And as I said, if you have a book, business, product, or service that you want the world to know about, you want to come on and talk about it, contact us at drshig@gmail.com. That's drshig@gmail.com. We're getting back with our guest, Miss Sheena Gadine, and I want to thank you for being with us today on the Encouragement Show. You're helping so many people. So what can people expect? What do you want people to take away? What's the takeaway from the book for people?
The takeaway from the book is definitely that through anything you're dealing with, you can really, truly strengthen yourself and not stay stuck where you are from whatever divines in your past or whatever's in your present. Your future is always the answer. You got to not live in your past. You got to let go of it.
Let go of the past. Talk about support, because sometimes when people launch into a new venture, if it's a book or a business, I'm looking at your face. You remind me of my wife when she got something to say. I didn't even finish the question, and you got 15 answers.
Yeah.
And so talk about support, because sometimes people, they complain that they don't get support and they get stuck there. Talk about that for a minute. And
what's interesting? I've learned that sometimes the support that you honestly looking for and expecting it is not the people that's going to support you. Sometimes you got to know that there are people actually watching you that you don't know who you're helping, and you got to just continue to give 120%, regardless on who's supporting, regardless on who's helping, regardless on who said I'm buying and not buying, or say, yeah, I saw it and not saw it. You got to continue to succeed for you, not for them. Because when you're looking for that person that's supposed to support you, a lot of times that's not the support you're going to get. You're going to always be helping someone else that you just didn't know you were helping, and they was watching a long time ago. Like, prime example, when I first published my book in 2019, I went to a book thing called Mind, Body, and Soul Expo. And it was about 4,000 people there when I went to the expo. I sold like 45 books. Awesome event. Didn't even know, passing out cards. So that was in March. About June, I had somebody in my inbox was like, "Oh, I don't know where to turn. I'm dealing with a lot." So they was like, "Yeah, I've been watching you since March. I've been on your page. I saw your videos. I see the speeches you do. I've been watching you, and I didn't know where else to turn." And it was like, all I could do was reach out to you. So after me helping them, they said I was an angel. And it was like, it's crazy that out of everything, I became their support system and got them out of the situation they were in and helped them. And I was like, if I kept my mouth quiet, I would have never been able to help her. So I became the voice for people that couldn't speak, because I started getting different emails. Even when I went on the news, they're like, oh, I had this situation happen and da 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 da. So I became a voice for the people that were being quiet. I helped them to get comfortable with actually talking about it. And like, I threw an event last year, and it was actually called We Survived. It was the domestic violence event. And it's like, I guess it's just the energy that I have now, to where people just tend to open up. They talk
Right.
about things that they never thought they would talk about ever again, that they talk deep inside. And I give them the comfortability to become free of what they've kept hidden. So I help them remove their mask, is what I call it. That's why the lady behind the mask have been born.
Okay. I like that. And a lot of people are wearing masks, and so
Yes.
that's very helpful. And so you said earlier, and I've learned this myself, that you don't get always the support from where you think it's coming from, but you can't use that as a complaint. So how did you get past, if you ever were there? Because sometimes people get upset. Well, my cousin, my best friend, they didn't support me, and they're bothered by it. How do you help some of our authors?
I use it as a motivation. I use it as the reason for me to go harder. Because the thing about it is, you might not support me, but there's somebody else that's out there that's gonna support me. So I'm gonna continue to work hard. I'm gonna continue to grind. I'm gonna continue to hustle to be greater than what I'm supposed to be, because my vision is bigger than me. So I had to gain the mindset of not depending on my supporters. I had to support myself first. And when the support comes, you gotta be, it comes. You can't define your business on the support that you don't have. You gotta define your business on the people that are supporting you.
Oh, so that helps you move away from being
Waiting
angry.
on the others. Yeah. Because if not, you're gonna be mad for the rest of your life. Because you want your cousin or your uncle or whoever that you expected to help you or supported you or to come to an event or to whatever. And they might not be the main ones that's going to help. They might not be the main one that's going to support you. You got to thrive with the ones that are supporting you and continue to gain other supporters. And that should be the thing that feeds your fuel. You got support. Let that feed your fuel.
Okay, and use that and move on. And you said something earlier, and a friend of mine, Wendell Jones, he's a speaker, and he said this, and you echoed it. You got to keep going, because you never know who's watching you. And you mentioned the story about the person. And so when they told you that they were watching you and you helped them, what did that, not from an ego place, but what did that do for you?
That made me, that gave me confirmation that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It gave me the confirmation that I'm on the right track. I'm on the path. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And like, we have those doubtful moments. Like, am I really on this right path? Is this really what I'm supposed to be writing about? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? And you take those moments when you get those emails or those confirmations that, you know what, you're doing what you're supposed to do. That was why you were supposed to be there. Yet, like, I take my situation. Did I question it when I went through the domestic violence? Yes. Did I question when I went and had all these health issues? Yes. But I learned that my testimony was a purpose for somebody else's glory that needed help. And I needed to go through that situation and these diseases and these things to be able to be stronger to help someone else go through the journey that they're going through.
Oh, so some of this journey, this process, if I'm reading you correctly, this journey, this process is really not about you.
No, it's not.
Right. So
it happened to me, but it's not about me. It's bigger than me.
Bigger than you. And that's the thing that sometimes that can carry somebody through, because it's bigger than you. That can carry you through, because when the book doesn't sell or when nobody comes to the event or whatever case might be, but then you end up getting, like your situation, the person saying that they're your angel, and so that can help somebody go forward.
Yeah.
Don't you think so? When they ready to throw in the towel, oh, only sold 2 books this month. Just not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And so that has helped you. That has helped you. That has been your fuel to keep going. Part of it.
Part of my fuel, yes. My first fuel is my kids. My
Obviously,
second fuel is the fact is that, there is somebody out there that actually is listening that might not be saying something, or that's somebody that's actually watching that's not talking, but I'm helping them quietly without me even knowing. So I'm continuing on my journey to continue to serve of the love, teaching people how to love themselves, teaching them how to remove their mask. I'm going to continue to talk about the things that people aren't talking about. And I'm going to continue to give people the motivation, the empower, and the inspire, because whoever I'm helping, they watching.
Right. You've alluded to it, but I want to ask you more specifically, what are your goals for this book?
For this book?
Yes.
Eventually for it to, move up on the charts. But right now, it's doing what it needs to do. It's empowering people. It's inspiring people. It's motivating people. It's getting people to cry. It's getting people to come out their shell. It's getting people to remove the mask. It's getting people to talk about things they haven't think they was going to talk about years ago. So, when people are sitting on stuff for 35 years and I come around and I'm bringing it out, that means I'm doing something right.
Removing the mask. That's a needed process, but a difficult process. How, and we alluded to it, but I want to revisit it to help somebody. How difficult was it to remove the mask for you? And how difficult do you think it is for some other people? Because, there are some people that have greatness inside them, but it's hidden. So how do you get to the place where you can remove that mask?
See, with me, I like I told you, I had to get uncomfortable. And my first uncomfortable thing was actually forgiving myself for the things that I did go through. And I forgave myself for me, not for nobody else, because I didn't want to hold on to it and be angry. And a lot of times we hold on things because of things we went through. We're still upset. We're still frustrated. We hate the person. We mad, or whatever it may be that you're holding on to it for some reason, or you don't want to let go. And some people, they're still reliving it and not going through their process to not let it. So I had to stand in front of my mirror and be okay with forgiving myself for the things I allowed, the things I've been around, the things that went through, whatever it may have been. I had to go through my flaws or my imperfections. I had to be okay with what I like and what I didn't like about myself. I had to learn to date myself. I had to learn to love myself. I had to learn to intake and endure who I really was. And I had to be okay with that. And a lot of times we sit and not okay with everything that we have inside of us. So that's why they're not willing to remove that mask, because they're not ready. They're scared of what's actually behind that mask.
So you are, and someone asked me this question a couple of weeks ago. I was being interviewed for something, and they asked me this question. I'm asking you, as an encourager, as a person that inspires. So how do you get encouraged? How do you get inspired?
Well, my encouragers definitely come from, one, my faith, two, songs, music, and then, looking at my kids. Like, they tell me all the time, from the day I did this book to now, Mommy, I'm proud of you. And that's all I really needed to hear. I didn't have to hear
you ready to go now, huh?
That had me on, I was going right there. It was like, they go with me to my, to my speeches and to my seminars, and they've heard my story. And we've been through the past of where I had to sit down and they literally were asking me questions that I weren't ready to ask, but I had to get uncomfortable to answer them for them, because they wanted to know after being with me and going through my process and listening to my stories. And, with them telling me they was proud of me, and they be like, Mommy, you're a celebrity. And, I look at them like, what? They're like, no, Mommy, you're a celebrity. Everybody wants you. But I had to learn to accept with what they feel, that they feel I'm a celebrity, because maybe that's what the faith is telling me I'm going to. But my kids, that's my 0 to 100 right there. They told me I was proud of me. I'm good. Because that's who I'm trying to, that's who I'm making proud. It's them.
I want to ask you to take a couple of minutes and help a dreamer that's watching right now, a dreamer with a book or business or whatever the case may be, but they've got baggage, they've got stuff behind their mask. Help them get started or help them complete, get back, you know, in the stream, in the swing of things, with their dream, be it a book, a business, or whatever the case may be. Take a couple of minutes and help somebody, if you would.
Well, to those dreamers out there and these people that, you know, you want success and you want to move and you want to feel that you're not stuck anymore, the first step is to accept that you know, it's okay to not be okay. You got to learn to love the inside of you. You got to learn to get unstuck from the baggage and the insecurities or whatever may be holding you back. Whatever that barrier may be, don't let that barrier be the reason why you don't succeed. Don't let that barrier be the reason why you don't go to the next level. Take that barrier and look it in the face and say, you know what, I got this, because you got it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So what's next? What's next for you?
Oh, listen, book 2 is in editing right now. I'm hoping to have that out. Yeah, like I'm trying to have that out by November of this year.
Okay.
My goal is by my birthday. You know, it's gonna be my 40th. So why not celebrate? Being as COVID can't go nowhere. Why not celebrate it with a business move? Why not celebrate the, you know, the 4-0 with the business move? Other than that, I have actually a documented film that will be dropping next month in October. It's a short film. It's called Through Your Eyes. The Mask Behind Your Mask. It's a story of people telling their survival story through their eyes. Me and another producer, her name is Veronica Viraji, and her JP Media. We work together to produce this, so that will be out next month. Like I said, in November, I'm looking to drop my book. I have a lot of virtual book tours I'm doing this month and next month. And I'm also doing domestic violence marathon October 1st from 4 to 8. And then I have like 8 guests coming on with me on that platform. I'm co-hosting with her name is Angela Thomas Smith. I'm co-hosting with her. What else is going on? A lot. Yeah, keeping me busy.
So a lot of things can come from, okay, you know, the book, the speaking. And so as people pursue their dreams, pursue their goals, they don't have to stay in one thing, as long as everything is still connected to the vision, but it's different lanes, right?
Yeah, no, they don't have to stay like me being an author. I didn't stay just being an author. I'm doing a podcast, so I'm a podcast host. I also do, like I said, I've been in a play, so you know, and I'm also a part of a couple of organizations. Like I'm with HTM, which is Her Temple Monologue. We do monologues, we do community service, we do performances. I also work with I'm on the board of directors of another nonprofit. You know, a lot of the stuff is still community service, which is still helping people. You know, it's all in the line of still helping people and still creating your own lane. And like I tell people, I created a lane for myself to whereas my kids, I have a lane as well. And like with my lane is basically, I call it Sheena Master Motivation, because I teach people how to unmask themselves and motivate them at the same time.
Okay.
So I teach people how to learn how to love themselves. And see, like I created a whole workshop that I call the mirror effect through my lane. And what it is with that, I teach people how to take a mask and paint it, put on the words on how they feel at that moment, and then let's talk about it. And if it's anything negative on it, talk about it right then. And from there, they got to look at themselves in the mirror at that very moment.
You've mentioned a certain word several times in our conversation, and the word create, and I love that. I'm an old school music person. There's an old school song. There's a song by James Brown. The line says, "I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open the door and I'll get it myself." And how important is that? I mean, the creative part, the creating all these different things. Why would you work so hard why is it necessary to do that? Why do you do that?
Because as you create, you're not just an author. your business. So you're creating your different business revenues and different allies, different steps of your empire.
Okay. Okay.
You as an author, you're not just an author. It's actually a business. And some people might look at it as I'm just a writer, but you're honestly more than that. Because if you're handling all parts of your business, it's a business. You're handling the marketing, the branding, promoting, you, everything, the events, you pushing your books, you doing a lot. So it's a business. You got to learn
Right.
the business side of it too, the profits, how many books you need to sell, what you need to price range it as. You learn all of that.
And that's so
So
important. 'Cause as we said earlier, a lot of times people are just dealing with the creative part.
yeah,
But I love the fact that you talk about creating this, this, and this. Not, I mean, okay, you're a speaker, you're an author, somebody's going to call you and come and speak for them, but you're not sitting and waiting for them to call you.
No, I
So
create my own events.
I love it.
Yep.
Now you're creating your own event. Okay, they call me now. I'm not waiting for you. I'll take the phone call if I'm not on the road already.
Exactly.
That's what I hear you saying. That's what I hear you saying.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, not just waiting. And so
because if you sit and wait, it's like you waiting them to give you something.
Ooh.
Exactly, you shouldn't be waiting on them to give you something. You got to show them why they need you. You got to show them why they want you.
Wait a minute. Oh my goodness. You're messing me up. Don't sit around waiting for them to give you something. Show them why they need you. Exactly. Oh my goodness. I love that. Why they need you. And then they'll call you. And if I have that date open, I'll take the call.
Exactly. That's how you gotta do it.
Show them why you, and that's not coming from a place, and I want to make this clear. I hear it, but that's not coming from a place of arrogance, though.
No.
Yeah, it's coming from a place of confidence.
Yes. And that's the thing about it, is you got to show them how confident you are, because if you trying to sell something and you don't look confident enough to them, they're not gonna buy it.
Right.
So it's like when you when you brand yourself, because as an author you brand yourself, you create a label. So you're the product, and you gotta create your lane. You gotta create your buzz. You gotta create why they would want you. What is it that you have that they want? So when you creating your events and you put you have your videos on your page, because they're gonna come and they're gonna look. Because like I tell you, people are watching. You don't know who's watching you, but they're watching. Right. And as they watch when you create this, that's when they said, I might need to reach out to her or him or whoever.
Right.
And that's where the buzz comes from, because you have created your own lane.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Creating your own lane. There's a chapter in one of my books, Go Get It, and it speaks to that. It says, stop waiting and start creating. You shine some light on that very, very well, and it's evident that you're doing that, and that's great. I appreciate that. I ask you, give us a quick synopsis of the book again. Tell people where they can get it and how they can contact you.
Well, the synopsis of the book is, this book is a book of poetry and spoken words that I put together for people to love all their imperfections, despite of what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And like I said before, you can cry, you can be sad, you can be happy, but just love all your imperfections despite of what you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Barnes and Nobles. You can find it on Walmart. It's on all platforms. Okay. Google me, it's there. And if you want to reach out to me, I do have some soft cover copies on hand. See, it's right here on hand, always ready to sign. You can always find me on my platforms, which is on Facebook. You can find me at Sheena Gadine, which is my personal page. I accept it there too. You can find me on Sheena Gadine Author, Sheena Unmaster Motivation, or you can find me at my website, which is www.theladybehindthemask. Or you can find me on Instagram, which is testimony_for_life, which is Instagram, and Twitter, which is W_Gadine16.
So if someone wanted to contact you for speaking, whatever, they can go to some of those same platforms.
Yep, all the same platforms.
All right. That is powerful, powerful. I want to tell you, thank you so much. You've helped me, and you've helped our guests. And so those of you who are watching, you need to get a copy of her book, Poems Empowerment. It may not be for you, but you know somebody that needs this. You're thinking of the cousin, the girl at church, the girl in the next cubicle at work, the guy that you saw at practice, the guy in the gym. You're thinking about them. Invest in their life. Give them a copy of this book. So Miss Sheena Godine will be a blessing to you and a blessing to them. And I want to thank you for being with us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. After we close out, hold on for a little bit. Stay on for a little bit. But you've been watching the Encouragement Show. I'm Dwayne Shigg, my guest Sheena Godine. She's helped us so much with her book, The Mask Behind the Mask. And if you didn't see all of it, you need to go back to the beginning so that you can get all of this information. And as I said, want to ask you, continue to follow us. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram at EncouragMan, the letter N, EncouragMan, Twitter, EncouragMan. Some of our videos, our encouragement videos are there. Also on YouTube, Dwayne Shigg, or the Encouragement Show, and then my Facebook page, Your Encouragement, MINT. My latest book is called Encouragement from a Formerly Frustrated Dreamer. You can get a copy there. Get a copy of her book first, and then buy my book. Okay. And so, if you want to get a copy of my book, you can go to Amazon.com. If you don't remember the name of the book, all you have to do is put my last name in the browser, SHIGG. You won't get lost. There's only 3 people on there with that name: me, my brother, and my cousin. So you will be all right. But this has been the Encouragement Show. This is the place to talk about your past, your passion, products, and possibilities. Tonight, we've seen that your past doesn't have to stop you. We've seen that you can use your imperfections as fuel. We've been told that you have to get uncomfortable so you can be comfortable. And whatever your business, your product, your book, business, whatever the case may be, you have to let people know why they need you. And that's not coming from a place of arrogance. That's coming from a place of confidence, also benefiting them. And Ms. Sheena has said what most of our guests have said, is that this is bigger than you. And so you have to do the business part of whatever it is. If it's a book, if it's selling jewelry, or whatever the case may be, there's an excitement part. There's a creative and inspirational part, but you got to get the business side too. And so all of those things she's poured into us tonight. And so I trust that you've been helped. I trust that you've been strengthened, and I'm quite sure you have, because I have. And I want to thank Ms. Sheena Godine for pouring into us, me and the rest of the listeners, the viewers of the Encouragement Show, because she's definitely done that. So watch the videos, go to Encouragement, Your Encouragement, watch the videos, follow us. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comment section. She can see them, and we can see them on the replay. And I just want to let you know, as always, I'm Dwayne Shigg, wanting you to remember that your dream is doable. So you need to go get it. Stay encouraged. Be blessed. See you next time.